Hi, welcome back to the Jackie and Glenn channel. I'm Jackie.
And I'm a husband, Glenn.
He's my husband, Glenn.
Hey, before we get started, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you hit that bell notification so you don't miss any of our reviews. Tonight we're reviewing Married at First Sight, season 17, episode, I don't know, honeymoon. I can't remember.
What is it, like 5?
Episode number 4. It's episode 4.
Okay.
Where you want to get started? They on their honeymoon.
I mean, let's just start. So, this episode they're about to go and get into some little activities that they're doing. So, a few of the couples are excited to get into something physical, like an actual activity. Let's start with Lauren and Orion. They're chatting and, they feel lucky that they're physically attracted to each other. For him, he says it's been a pleasure getting to know her and everything.
Real soft spoken for me.
Yeah.
He's real soft spoken. I'm sorry.
For Emily and Brennan. Yeah. They feel like it's exceeded so far. They experienced each other. They've exceeded each other's expectations. He says, we vibe well. For Claire and Cameron, she says for her, they're very different people, but that can work to their advantage. And he was like, yeah, it's not the, I know he said he knows he's not the easiest to be around, but Claire's been taking it like a champ. She has.
He's awkward and giving me Luke vibes from Philadelphia.
Yeah.
It's bad. It's bad.
For Becca and Austin, they feel like, the experts kind of nailed it with them. They're moving forward, progressing or whatever. And Cameron says in his vignette that he's a little jealous, hearing about Becca and Austin and how they're getting along, whatever. And he's not really sure why he and Cameron are struggling. I mean, him and Claire are struggling.
They're both weird. They both don't talk.
What?
Express themselves. I
really do think it's a personality thing, but I think it's a culture thing too.
It's a little bit. I get that.
I don't know, but Cameron says, he's looking for that spark. He would like for it to happen on their honeymoon. And, if they feel that, sex might be on the table for them, he's looking for that moment of chemistry.
Right.
So we'll see. Lauren and Orion, she says she wants to wait till they get to the point of intimacy where it's like, we want to rip each other's clothes off. So they're chilling on that right now too.
Mm-hmm.
And so then we see the couples getting ready to go out on their activity. It's raining their first day there.
Yeah.
So they kind of got to wait the rain out to go do something.
Which I think would be chill though. You could just lay in the bed, lay in the hotel room or where you're at, resort and just talk.
Yeah, if that's what you want to do. Claire is up. She said she's an early riser, so she's ready to get some breakfast or everything. But she's like, Cameron, it's not.
No.
He sleeps in. He's sleeping real good.
Real good.
Real good. For Emily and Brennan, they say, it looks like it's clearing up out there. They're ready to head out. For Becca and Austin, she says she likes that they're both happy monsters in the morning. He makes these she said he makes noises like a pterodactyl and a corgi.
While you sleep.
Like when he's stretching, like, and she imitates him. And he's like, okay.
Yeah, they're weird. I like them. They're nerdy.
And that's what she said. She was like, we're both equal parts weird. She's like, I didn't ask for it, but I'm not mad at it.
I'm not mad at it either. Yeah.
So they get along real good. For Becca and Austin, again, they're sitting there chit-chatting or whatever, and I cannot figure out why. I guess it's kind of like, who was that was in the bathtub and was like, feed me while I was in the bathtub?
Oh, that was my man, Eris.
Yes.
It was Eris.
Okay, but this is like, Austin's just feeding himself. He's just sitting in the bathtub.
Feeding himself, chilling.
Eating his fruit off the plate, chilling. And so then they have a conversation. What do you think about aliens? What do you think about this? They just, like she said, equal parts weird. And it works for now. because I feel like Amelia Bennett was equal parts weird, and I really thought that would work, and it didn't.
Yeah.
So just the
But it
just
did
the
leave the show married though.
yeah, but just the quirkiness, you would think quirky, but
Yeah,
it's other factors that go into that. But anyway, then we see Emily and Brennan having their little brunch or whatever.
Mhm.
And she talks about the fact that, first of all, they had PG-13 shower time.
Yeah.
It was the most unclothed they've been, but they had clothes on. So they don't bathe in bathing suits and trunks and stuff.
I don't get that. I get it, but I don't get it. Like, if I'm going to take a shower with somebody and we go take a shower.
But they wasn't ready for that. They weren't ready for that. Kind of like Nate and Stasha. But they was real hot and heavy.
They were real hot and heavy.
But
PG-13.
But Emily and Brendan said it was very PG-13, and so when she goes to get out the shower, she fell
and hurt her wrist.
And hurt her wrist, and she was like, "You didn't hear it?" I guess he was like, "I mean, I did, but
right.
I didn't know you had hurt yourself. Like, hurt yourself." Yeah. So she said she woke up that morning and it still hurts. They talk about eating in the morning. He says, I get up in the morning, I make some eggs and cheese, peanut butter and jelly and toast, and peanut butter and toast. She says, she would like a little bit of jelly.
Just a little bit, just a dab.
Yeah, she talks about the fact that she needs some balance. He said he's good at routine. And she's real career driven, so it's hard for her to stop working. She's hungry to make money or whatever. And he said he likes that about her because he wants to try to build a legacy and provide the best life for his family. He talks about the fact that his mom worked for 30 years plus. And when he's talking about, building a legacy, she's like, oh, yeah, power couple.
That never works in the show. In this series, people say things they power couple. Sometimes it never works.
Yeah. Because the other thing is that she says, she's bad at budgeting.
Yeah, she works a lot, but she cannot handle money. Money is...
Because she says, I do what I want whenever I want. So she makes the money so I can spend the money. But you got to budget it too. And he was like, no, I'm real big on living below my means. And, he was like, I'll have to look into that and kind of help you with that. See where all the money's going.
Auditor Brennan's coming in.
He's going to have to figure out where all your money's going.
Figure out where you're going.
So since we're deep into them, want to keep going with Emily and Brennan.
Keep rolling.
Okay. So then later with Emily and Brennan, we see them go, to a restaurant or whatever, and they're taking shots.
Tequila shots.
And at one point, like, first of all, the waitress brings up a tray full of shots out of there. They got grapefruit with some look like tahini. And so they're taking shots or whatever. He's like, whew, I need to take a break. She's like, nope. Keep drinking.
She like keep the party going. Hey, she borderline beating.
She real slushy.
She beating Virginia. Well, I can't say it because Virginia would do it when she was back at home. But she's coming on honeymoon. She's running neck and neck with Virginia.
I feel like Emily might probably do that at home too.
Yeah, she's running neck and neck with Virginia as far as her drinking ability.
So he was like, this is the type of relationship he's always wanted, somebody to go try new things with. They talk about their background or whatever. She was like, I'm from New York, Long Island. I'm a partier, but also I went to a party school.
Yeah.
And he was like, him not so much. He wasn't much of a partier, like he did party, but not a partier.
Partier, yeah.
And for her, she was like, I can get emotional, and he was like, I can get sappy. And she was like, oh, you get emotional too? He's like, I get sappy.
He cried. But he showed her that he cried at the wedding. He was the one that was, I believe he cried. Yeah.
No, that was Austin.
That was Austin that's cried. Yeah, that was Austin.
And they're getting along so well. It's like, he feels like he's known her for a long time. And when they come together, it's like, just picking up where they left off. And so they're having a good time vibing right there. Later we see them just sitting on the beach chatting. He talks about how it's been good to be unplugged. She says she's been feeling kind of lovey-dovey, in there with them, you know, been enjoying it. They're happy about how they've been progressing.
And that's what you want, though. I mean, you want to be able to progress. And this is one of the few couples that we've seen on Married at First Sight in a long time who's actually been talking about their process and how they're moving along. Even though it's been like, I think 3 days at this point, they're moving along, and the progression is pretty good. And they feel comfortable with each other.
The conversation comes up, you know, what about sex? What do we do with that? And, you know, is he there yet? And he was like, you know, I think we're building up to that point. You know, let's get the emotional first, then the sex will come. And she says basically she's following his lead. You know, they have the luxury that they can focus on each other more than sex, because sex clouds that. He was like, let's do that.
But if he was ready to go, she's ready to go.
Right.
But if he's ready, she's ready.
Yeah. And really, that was it with Emily and Brennan.
Not
pretty
much.
Uneventful with them. Actually, most of the couples were pretty uneventful.
Yeah,
except for one.
Just you know, this episode is slow rolling. That's why it really doesn't get juicy or really get good till after the honeymoons. But nonetheless, thank y'all for watching. Why you at this point hit the subscribe button and the bell notification, right? We're gonna just keep the party going at this point. Go ahead.
All right, so then let's go to Cameron and Claire.
Yes.
All right.
My favorite couple, just because I know I'm always good for a laugh or something quirky or be like shaking my head when I watch this couple.
So he finally wakes up. They have a good, yummy breakfast and they're ready to take on a day. And so we see them preparing to go paddle boating. And her thing about him is like, okay, look at you. You got your blue on, but your pattern's on your top. He got a long sleeve top on. He got like a bucket hat on. The pattern on his shorts doesn't match the pattern on his sleeves. And, you know, she kind of picks with him about that.
He got upset, though. He felt some type of way. He was in his feeling. I mean, the thing that we always laugh. He was warm about that thing.
He was warm about that.
He was warm about that thing. He was like, "What's wrong with me? I think I look good. Yeah, I thought I look all right." No, bro, you look like you're a tourist.
He talked about the fact that they had a really long conversation about physical touch and intimacy. But after the conversation, he said he's more confused and he's not clear. He doesn't have a clear understanding of what Claire wants.
Then why? That's my thing. Is like I hate that, and especially on this show. Like, what does she want? Why don't you just ask them? Like, what do you want? How do you want to progress? Because this is a show by asking questions. You were married at first. Y'all don't know each other. It's not like y'all dated for 6 weeks or dated for 9 months. You're getting to know each other. This honeymoon period, y'all have nothing but to be in each other's face. So go ahead and ask why you in each other's face. Hey, you know what? What do you like? Which way you know? How when do you feel like you want to be physical? When do you feel like you want to be kissed? What do I need to do to break that wall down? How do I make you feel comfortable? Those type of questions are the questions that need to be asked. I can't be. He's sitting here mad. He's sitting here mad and
it's just really weird. Like
really frustrated. And the person that you want to ask the question to is right in front of you. Even when they go to dinner, it's like, ask the question.
Oh my gosh, the dinner. Let's not jump ahead. Okay, so he was like, you know, it's important to him to get the energy of comfort and safety. Like he usually makes the first move, but she makes fun of his fashion sense.
He told you he was warm about that fashion.
His feeling is that she's not, you know, that she's not there yet. No, she's not.
Not with you. But she's waiting for him but he's so weird and awkward.
I told you it's a balancing act.
That he can't do it because he's waiting for her.
She's waiting on him. He's waiting on her. They waiting on each other, and they not on the same page.
But he usually makes the first move. Somebody's lying. That's what he said. He said he usually makes the first move. Why you make the first move?
Because he said she don't know. He don't know where she is. He don't really.
She's not gonna say. Well,
yeah. She will. Don't say that.
Yeah, she won't
say.
She won't say stranger danger.
Don't. What are you doing?
This ain't wrong.
Are you touching me?
Wrong show. That's Sharice from Ready to Love. Don't touch me.
Are you touching me?
Wrong show. Don't touch me.
It might. That's not true. It might be.
Oh.
But
I think she will welcome his touch.
I don't know.
I'm not talking about him just grabbing double cheeks. I think she will welcome the handhold or something like that.
But, I don't know. But they go paddle boating. It's a little rough and choppy out there, but she said she feels like it's a good start. You know, that having fun together will make it grow. You know, they're taking baby steps. So she gets ahead of him paddle boating, paddle boarding rather. But they look like they had a good time. He later says, oh, they liked paddleboarding. They did pretty good balancing. Neither of them fell off. And he said, he got to see a different side. They got to see a different side of each other.
Yeah.
The more he gets to see the fun side of her, the more he wants to move towards physical intimacy. Cameron is hot to try. Calm down.
He's ready. He is ready. He got married so he can get him some.
That's what it sounds like.
It's starting to sound like he got married so he can get him a piece. He wanted his woman to jump his bones.
Yeah, it's starting to sound like that. So the conversation is, okay, what do you want to know? What do you want to know about me? Like, each other. She was like, well, I'm still in school. I'm in my last year, my master's program. And so she was like, you fix bikes, right? I thought that was so funny. It like really minimized. You fix bikes, right?
Yeah, but she's talking to him like she's talking to one of her clients, patients, trying to get the information. So.
Yeah. He was like, yeah, I fix bikes, but every fracture of a bike is different. I love my job. That for some people in Colorado, that's their life.
Well, they release,
their release, especially with the pandemic and everything. So he takes great pride in fixing their bike because that's their outlet or whatever. And so they had that whole little conversation or whatever. And so then we come back to Claire and Cameron as they're sitting at dinner. And they start talking about, okay, what do you think about therapy? Would you go to therapy? And he was like, yeah, I don't feel like I need it at this point, but I don't have a problem with going to therapy. And then she goes into this whole thing of, so you think things just come to you and you don't have to work hard for stuff. And I look at therapy, but it went from therapy to
hardworking, to getting things in life, to the universe getting things for you, or you just getting because you exist.
It was like he was still talking about therapy, and then she went to something else, and it was like,
then he jumped over where she was at, and they came back. It was confusing, but again, but short of the long is he believes that you create your own destiny, you create your own dreams, and she believes. Well, he believes that some things happen just because you exist and because you're there.
And because you're in that space.
In that space. And she believes that everything happens because you worked hard for it and you attain it.
And in the end, her conclusion is, we're very different people with different viewpoints. And but in that, I'm glad it doesn't cause an argument. And he was like, I actually think we're actually pretty similar. We do have different viewpoints, but I think that can be beneficial.
Yeah.
So you can see the other person's point of view. Yeah. I do not have hope for them.
No, I don't have hope for them either. But
we'll see. But
it's gonna be fun to watch.
Yeah. I feel like it's gonna be kind of train wreckish, but anyway, so we've done Becca, Emily and Brennan. We've done Claire and Cameron.
Then we're on Becca and Austin.
You want to go to Becca and Austin?
Yep. Okay. Save the other one for last.
All right. So
while you're waiting, hit the subscribe button and bell notification.
Becca and Austin, they go out on a boat, and they just real touchy feely. She likes to be up in his face, and he don't mind it.
She's a toucher. She's a feeler. Her friends said that she want to touch, she want to feel, she want to be in his face, she want to kiss him, she want to hug him, she wants to be all over him.
Yeah, and she do a lot of smooching.
And she does a lot of smooching, so that's what she does. I mean, that's wrong with affection and feeling. And let's see if she can be this way the whole 8 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Can she sustain this, right? Because again, the way you start a relationship is the way that the husband or wife wants you to maintain that in the midst of the relationship. So if she's starting off all fast, touchy feely, he's gonna keep anticipating the touchy feely, and it better not die. It should not die down, especially when you don't have kids. But again, you can do all this because it's the honeymoon, and you have nothing else to do.
He talks about the fact that he's equally as sensitive and goofy. She realized that he's in tune to when she needs something. He's affectionate and helpful to her. She talks about the fact that she overthinks a lot, and he said he's good at helping her with. He'll be good at helping her with that, not to overthink stuff. And she sees that what his family said at the ceremony was true. That he's again very comforting and helpful.
Yeah. And she needs that.
He said for him, he sees how strong she is, that you can keep your composure and enjoy moments even though you're in pain. It's just, that's just amazing to him. And they just talked about how they're learning a lot from each other, excited to keep learning about each other. And like I said, they do a lot of smooching on the boat.
Yes.
And, he was like, they're like, I wouldn't want to do this with anyone else. She's already at that point. I wouldn't want to do this with anyone else. I have great hope for them. I hope they don't let me down.
No, I hope they don't let me down either. Because I like them. I like the way they're interacting.
I do too.
I like the way they're communicating and like all that. But like I told you, that's on the honeymoon. The equalizer is when you go home. Mm-hmm. When everyday life and family and friends get involved in the situation.
But the good thing for them is even when they get back into everyday life, she's an entrepreneur. She sets her own kind of schedule. Yeah. He works from home,
But she hasn't had a flare up. Her sickness hasn't really.
Well, she kind of does on the honeymoon, because she talks about the fact that beforehand it was like I might not be able to do all the physical stuff, even when they I think when they were on a boat too, it's like kind of had to be aware of my body or whatever.
So it was a bad day.
They go to eat. And he pulls out the chair for her. Let me pull out the chair. And she was like, "You pulling out the chair for me? Freak the patriarchy. Forget that. We don't have to do that." And she laughs. She's just kidding. She talks about how she likes him a lot. He's so sweet. And he likes her too. Mm-hmm. How did you grow up? And Austin was like, I was a handful. Yeah. I was basically a rambunctious kid. And she was like, I grew up kind of privileged. I was wild as a middle schooler and a high schooler. And he was like, yeah, my life was pretty normal since he didn't have any siblings. He didn't mind being an only child, but for him, he would like to have 2 kids. Yeah. And she was like, I can imagine my life with or without kids. The decision really lies in my partner and what my partner wants. Either way, it works with me. And she's like, if I didn't have any kids, I would be willing to foster kids. How much time would you like between your kids? Yeah. She was like, I could see having a 3-year spread before having kids and between kids.
Have them closer. Oh, I'm just saying.
But not too close.
Not too close.
I feel like 2 years would be good between your kids.
2 years is pretty good.
Yeah. Not 1.5 and then 8. But it wasn't planned like that. It would have been 6 between them. But anyway, so then for the other thing with Becca and Austin, he's they're at the pool chatting and smooching, and this is where she says, I'm sorry I'm not able to get in the pool with you, because she wasn't feeling well enough to get in and
to snuggle and cuddle
and make out with him.
Make out, work. That's the term they use, make out.
Yeah, and he says he understands, but she says she still feels bad. He says, no, don't feel bad. Your health is the most important thing. So concentrate on that. And I'm just really getting caring vibes from Austin. I like it. He
cares for her. She cares for him. And they're doing okay.
Then they're chilling later and they go for drinks. And she's like, does it bother you that I don't drink? And he was like, no,
I drink enough for both. I'm just joking. That's not what he said. But he does drink a lot for both of them.
They talk about the fact that, if I had an issue, I would say something to you. Yeah. In the past, my style has been avoidance when it comes to conflict.
Now I'm open and honest.
Yeah, he said, he's been attracted to people that were opposites to him. He likes creatives and introverts, and she's a creative. He's feeling that.
Yep.
He feels like he feels like she could keep up with him. They'll be able to keep in step with each other.
They balance each other out.
Yeah, unlike other people that he's dated. She talks about, like, when it comes to her health issue, do you think about death much? And he says, I don't really think about death. But what might worry him more so is if I'm married and I have kids. Yes. That's what concerns him when it comes to thinking about death. And she said death doesn't worry her. She used to have really bad anxiety, though, like to the point where she wouldn't get on planes. She wouldn't go out.
That's crazy when she's sick like that. But again, having that bad anxiety to like planes and going out, think the sky's gonna fall. The sky's falling. That's terrible. And I'm not joking on it, but it is you need that type of help, right? You can't walk around fearful every day and scared that something's going to transpire, something happen. You have to live life. You know, not to get biblical. It's we all gonna die once.
Yeah. But now she says she manages it well, which again is an accomplishment because he couldn't believe. Okay, you didn't used to get on planes. She had to take a plane to go to Mexico.
Who was that a couple years ago that kicked and screamed and cried on a plane? Ryan and what's the girl name from? It was Houston season. Ryan and Brett.
Yes, Brett.
Brett took off and he said it the worst he's ever seen because she was on a plane. Terrible. So
terrible. But she said she would be interested in going kayaking, but she might have to sit there because of how she's feeling. And I thought this was funny. It was like in a boat versus kayak. Oh, anything that floats is a boat. She says, well, I float in my boat. And do you float? He said, no, I motorboat. I said, quirky.
It's quirky.
They had a whole
nice little fun joke and laughing about motorboating.
But they did do a little kayaking and she was able to get in. And he was
if you don't know what motorboating is, research it.
Being with him feels right. So they enjoyed it.
Because can't do it here. Just Google motorboat.
I was like, what? Dude, we talking about floating and boating. And
you talk about motorboat.
But they had a nice little interaction. They was real cute. So the semi train wreck for this episode, which it was really mild compared to others.
Mild. I thought it was just awkward. It was
weird.
It was just nothing.
First, we start with Lauren and Orion. They're in like a kind of like an infinity pool. We're having a conversation or whatever. You know, they feel good that day. Yesterday, they had a lot of traveling, so they're able to get some rest that day. You know, they've moved past strangers. You know, she feels safe and comfortable. The biggest priority for him is getting to know her. And she likes, she's like really feeling him because she said her mom wanted her to be with a strong man and somebody who makes her feel safe.
And he checks those boxes right now.
Yeah, they talk about the conversation they had at the Aqua Bar the night before, I guess, how she only wants to have one kid, but she's open to adoption for other kids. And he was like, you know, because there's a lot of kids out there that don't have any families. So, you know, that's good with him. They feel like, you know, they could both be good providers and take care of kids because they're givers. And he says, you know, from the little that I've known about you thus far, I feel like you would be a great mother because you got such a warm aura about you. And he felt like he needed that as a kid because remember his dad left and he had these strong indigenous Native American mother, you know, just he needed a softer, you know, side of his mother. And he
also needed a dad there too, but that's a whole different topic. He needed both of them to balance out because he's not balanced. Don't put it that way.
But they said having these kind of conversations gives her assurance about having these conversations about the future gives her reassurance about now. And for him, he says, you know, he's looking for everlasting love. And his feelings are kind of growing for her. It feels good to be seen and heard. You know, he had underwhelming relationships in the past. And so they want to make a habit of getting to know each other and figuring out their problems together. So they're really vibing. In that moment, they're really vibing. But this is the one thing my sister said and I laughed. It was like, right. So they're getting ready to go out. She's like, okay, I'm getting myself together, but give me a minute. I just gotta lay my edges down. And he was like, ooh, can I watch you put your edges down? She said, what did you say? He's like, I want to watch. Right. She was like, no. How did you say it? He said, can I watch you put your edges down? She was like, it's lay.
It's lay. She said
lay my edges. And so she goes through a whole tutorial.
Gotta get to brush and comb, and then she was
and leave me some little sideburns. I like my little sideburns, and you gotta take the little comb, and I gotta comb this nap right here. And so that's what you hear. And I was like, sis,
I'm mad that after 2 days you getting your hair done, your hair nappy on the side.
Because when you leave that part out. It's humid. It get wet or whatever.
It shouldn't kink up like that.
But her hair don't really look that kinky anyway.
That pop was loud. Unless they did some extra sound to that joint.
If they did, I have a problem with y'all. We're not doing sound effects on the 4C hair.
They did sound. That jump popped loudly. Maybe because her microphone was there.
I don't know.
You can hear it.
But that thing was funny. I want to see you put your edges down.
And he actually sat there and watched, and she explained, and she gave us.
She did. Get some gel. You do it like this and do it like that. I was like I said, my sister was like, I need her not to be giving away all the secrets.
She
don't give away all the secrets.
She hooking them up.
But he said sitting there watching her, it kind of reminds him of his mom and his sister, because when they're getting ready for a powwow, it takes them about 2 hours to get their hair done.
And makeup and all that.
Yeah, makeup and all that stuff. And so she was, he appreciated her letting him in on her culture and allowing him to support and lay the edges, not put them.
Yeah, lay them down.
Lay the edges down.
And here comes the foolishness.
All right. No, not just yet. We see them sitting in a hammock with each other, having a nice little conversation, talking about having Mexican food for dinner and the fact that he can cook. And she was like, she believes in flexible gender roles. They had that whole conversation. Like, you should know how to cook, but not a woman should know how to cook, but not necessarily that's going to be her sole responsibility and stay in the kitchen all the time. She talked about having a husband as a provider. And then he goes through this whole, we're going to do 60-40, 70-30,
50-50.
And she was like, no, I like what you said before, 80-20.
80-20.
Let's stick with that. But she says, she wants to give and not just have him shoulder the burden of the house. And, with having this conversation, they were like, talking about money could be a touchy subject for people, especially men. And then they have a whole conversation about manscaping.
But before that, I like the fact that she was the one, because she said in her video, I wasn't going to bring up the money conversation until he did, because I didn't want it to be awkward. I wanted a man to bring up the money conversation. She wanted him to bring it up. And so once he brought it up, she walked through the door. She rolled with it and wanted to make sure that, and he said he's able to provide, living at his mama's house, he's still able to provide.
Yeah. So the next conversation they have is, so do you manscape? And he was like, down there ain't nothing prehistoric. So in other words, I ain't got hair down to my knees. Right. I do manscape. I keep it low and soft. And she was like, ooh, soft. How you do that?
And he goes through the whole thing. He got a kit. The manscape kit. He said,
and she was like, I like low over no, like bald. I like, I prefer low over no.
Yeah.
And she was like, she likes the sexy eyelashes, and they share some kisses. But on that part, like, we had a whole conversation. Like low versus no for like bald. I think myself, I think it's weird. I was like, I hope he like low versus no. And we had a whole conversation about, when women go for Brazilians, you waxing and taking hair off. That's one thing if I choose to do that myself. But to me, it's weird for a man to tell a woman, oh, I like no hair. It's kind of pervy. We're adults. You're supposed to have hair. Now, if she wants to take it off, or if she wants to leave a strip, okay. But for a man to be like, no, I don't want my woman to have any hair down there. That's weird.
I thought the conversation was interesting.
It's weird.
I thought the conversation was interesting.
It was, but all I could think was, that's weird. We're adults. Adults have hair.
That's just a whole other show on that. That's just a whole other podcast. And I'm being quiet intentionally. No, I'm just talking about the whole no. I'm not calling nobody people perverts. People perverts for that. I'm just kidding you.
I didn't say that word. I said pervy.
Pervy, okay.
It's kind of. Yeah, I didn't say the word that your daughter said.
Yeah, we said. Yeah,
but
we can't say that.
That's word. Just me.
Yeah.
I mean, people have their preference. I don't know. It's giving me R. Kelly vibes, but yeah, that's all I'm saying. Anyway, so then we see them later. Chit-chatting in a hot tub, drinking, and what does she want to find out before the honeymoon ends?
Honeymoon, yeah.
And she was like, I can ask this question for real?
For real?
Okay.
I
So
knew the
all
sisters.
the things that she could ask,
I'm not even mad at her.
I'm not mad neither, but I was like,
I need
that's
to know
the first thing to your mind, came to your
yes,
mind.
because you're an Indian dude, and I need
indigenous, Native American.
I need to know before we get home.
I really do not need to know that.
I need to know.
I feel like I could have answered that question without. I just assume, because at this point I feel like they probably know music vibes, and I feel like you listen to stuff that probably says that. You know what I'm saying? So I don't need to ask that question. Not really.
But he said yes. He said he.
But we ain't even said it. We ain't even said it though. She says, my question is, do you use the N-word? He's like, no, absolutely. He says, but I have said it before.
Yes. In my younger days.
Ignorantly singing along with songs, in my younger days. And she was like, can I punch you for my ancestors? He was like, yeah. So, a little punch or whatever. She's joking or whatever. But I just, the way music is nowadays, unless you like really are conscious and stop out of just because singing along, you're going to say it. So like I said, I would just assume that he probably slipped his in and was like, oh my gosh, because it was in a song, because you probably listen to songs.
No, he didn't say, that. He didn't say anything until his mama told him what the word meant and what it means and how he shouldn't use that. And he said his mom broke down and gave him the definition of, or gave him the definition of the word and why he shouldn't use it.
But she brought up an interesting point too, though. Okay, that she was saying, she was like, and this is, let me give you a little lesson. This is what African Americans or Black people as a culture have done. So if you want to use the N-word in a derogatory way, what we tried to do is African Americans is try to flip it. Let me take this thing out of it. Mm-hmm. And so they call each other that word, so it takes power away from it somewhat, from a racist or whatever they might say. It's like, okay, that's the best you can do. But at the same time, don't be saying it.
No, you can't.
Don't say it. It ain't that much thing taken out of it, because it's different. Because you could tell when somebody's saying that, like,
I don't even like to hear.
I don't
even like to hear our people say it.
Put these paws on you. Put these paws on it, and then it's a different inflection, because one got an A at the end and one got ER.
Yeah, I don't like neither.
And so a lot of times when that ER come out, that's when fists come out.
That's fighting words.
But and so that's what she was saying. And she said that because then he was like, have you ever she said, I've used terms before out of ignorance that I shouldn't have said. He was like, so like redskin. And she was like, no, what? Like, I don't even know what that means. And this is, oh, I just looked at your skin and I realized. And he was like, what? You looked at my skin. But what she explained was red skin, like sunburnt. Mm-hmm. And I looked at you and you're sunburnt. And then I realized, oh, that's what red skin means.
I don't know.
And that's the surface. That's the surface.
I don't know anybody that just goes calling people redskin.
Listen.
Unless you talk about the Washington football team and that team in Washington, I didn't hear that word. I'm talking about my childhood. The only time I ever heard that word was when you were talking about the Washington football team.
But we have to take it into perspective. So, where they live in Colorado, it's a lot of indigenous people, Native Americans. In the same way, if you live in certain other places, maybe in the South, mm-hmm. you might hear that N-word with the hard ER.
No, a lot.
A lot. So maybe there, as a jab or whatever, people still say it. Like, I've never heard anybody say that either. But I've heard some other derogatory words more towards towards Native Americans and indigenous people than I have redskin.
Yeah. Y'all let me know, have y'all heard it outside of the football team? Like, just people calling. Leave a comment in the comment section.
And so.
And I'm not saying it's not offensive. That's not what I'm saying.
No.
I want to just know, have it been used? Have you heard it outside of
Yeah, I've never heard it used before, and that's what I'm saying. It must be in areas where it's a lot of
Native
indigenous
Americans.
people and Native Americans that people still use that as a jab. Just like I said, just like when you go certain places
In the South, yeah.
or what's maybe the
North,
South,
Northwest.
or just where some ignorant people at. But anyway, and she was like,
Canada.
you know, I was talking about your sunburn and made me think about it. He's like, oh, that's rough, you know. Do you know where red skin comes from? And he explains that it's not just the color of the skin, red skin. It's because the scalp of an Native American or an indigenous person was like a commodity, and so red skin really like past the white meat.
Past me, yeah.
Like where the blood vessels under your skin is red when you pull the skin back. More like that.
Yeah,
and he educated me some because I'm thinking ready skin tone, ruddy, right, as they might have used. You know, they said David was ruddy in the Bible, so you know that's what I'm thinking. Esau was ruddy. You know, but no, it was like literal skin red.
Yeah, he educated me. I got educated. I had to go look it up.
And her thing about it was like, you know, he got really offensive.
And she wouldn't even be in a
she didn't even call him redskin. She just was like, I don't even know what that means. And then in that moment, she put it together, which is the same thing freaking Cameron did. He said you can't go too far off the reservation. And immediately he was like, oh, shouldn't have said that. And he looked at her too. And so her thing was, how do you decide between when it's an offense and when it's a joke, or when somebody's just being ignorant, and not ignorant in a bad way, but just like not knowing?
No, and basically she said you get a white dude a pass,
right? But not me.
Not me. And as a black woman, I'm already being ridiculed, already being persecuted, already being looked at differently, and you ain't giving me a pass. You laughed it off on him on the bus.
Yeah, she was like, you know, as an African American woman, I've developed thick skin, and that's what I'm saying. She was like, you know, we find humor in our pain again and try to take the sting out of it. He's like, it's not a joke to me, you know. From his mom and the elders, they wouldn't accept that, you know, taking the label of red skin. No, we're not doing that. You know, it's subtle differences in our cultures when it comes to that. Yeah. And he says, you know, I'm a little heated about the conversation. She was like,
yeah, he was heated. His whole body didn't change. And she wasn't even loud. She wasn't even boisterous. She was actually like, I really don't know. But he got heated. Yeah. Boy, he got heated.
And she contrasted that with how he handled her versus how he handled Cameron. You know, what's the difference between the reservation comment and the redskin comment? And I get her. I feel like she should be like, you should be a little more
mad at Cameron.
Cooler, right, with me, because you know, with our cultures, we kind of, you know, it's a minority culture. You know, we both had to deal with discrimination and racism and stuff, and you know,
right.
Why would you do me like that? I just feel like he took it out of hand on the after party. He was like, you know, he wouldn't have changed anything about it, but
he's 10 toes down on this situation. Yeah. He's putting it in. If you watch the after party, which I did, notice that he's not wearing his ring. Don't know what that means. Don't know. Yeah. Most people usually wear their rings, but he is not wearing his.
Or they're really conscious of how they hold their hand if they don't have a ring on.
But he didn't have one, so we'll see. We'll see. Hey, let us know what you think about this episode of Married at First Sight. Leave a comment in the comment section below. Did Orion blow the Lawrence comment out of proportion? I think she did. I think he did too. I think he's a little soft. I've been saying that for a while.
But
I'm saying anyway. I've been saying he's soft for a while. But anyway, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification. Make sure you don't miss any of our videos. And once again, appreciate you. Thank you very much for joining us. And talk to you a little bit later.
Bye.
Bye.